Hi, it's me again, Soni. And it's another one of Soni's running her mouth. For those of you who don't know me, well, I am a transpersonal counselor, coach, metaphysician, past life regressionist, what else do I? Clinical hypnotherapist, EFT master, a whole bunch of stuff. If you really want to know more about me, go to my website, soniweiss.com. There's a lot of stuff up there. We enjoy it. So, this part of this series, I'm going to be doing some short conversations about relationships and the roles that we play in them, and which we usually have no idea of what we're doing. I never did for years. And you might get something out of it. If you see the black and white Great Dane come in, he's a production manager. He's a producer and a great, the Doberman is the stage manager. And yes, Stuart, I did comb my hair. Okay, so let's get started. I want to try and keep these a little bit shorter and do more of them, but shorter ones. See how that works for us, okay? So let's talk about the roles that we play. A lot of this comes from Chuck Spezzano's books. He's a wonderful relationship counselor, been around for a long time. Course in Miracles, man, which are, if you've done the course, it really makes a change in your life. But he's been doing this for years and years and years, and stuff doesn't change. So in relationships, we play roles. Our whole life, we play roles. Our whole life is relationships. And we don't often realize that we do that. No, we don't. And bringing it up to our consciousness level is worth the effort to do that. Because when you're playing a role, you're not authentic. You're not authentic. It's not you. And it causes a lot of problems. So I'm going to talk about some of the victim roles, because those are the ones that really get to us most. And then we have life stories that we play out, and I'll get around all those. But let's work on these to begin with. So there's a bunch of victim roles. And one of the biggest ones that we don't even realize that we do is fear. And fear is prevalent in a lot of our lives. And if you think about fear, we're never afraid of anything that we think we can handle. Right? You know, I'm sitting here in my office, and if I looked out the window and I saw a bear out there, well, a little fear, but I'm pretty safe in here. And so the fear would be like this as I make a phone call to the dog catcher. So, but if there wasn't any window there, if I didn't have any barrier between the two things, my self-preservation level would be way up there. Okay, so think about that in your life, of what you're afraid of and what you're not. If you think you can handle it, you're not going to be afraid of it. It's pretty simple. But what fear causes us to do is it causes separation in our life. It causes us to separate, to make a space, a wall, maybe, between us and others. And it causes conflicts. So much of the conflicts that we have are really based on fear. Anger chunks down to fear, by the way. Fear is one of those really basic survival emotions. It's got a place, you know. Keeps us alive. Worked for a long time. And it's not something that we want to totally get rid of. Unsubstantiated fear, yes. But fear and that adrenaline thing that happens is our physical body and our emotions saying, yoo-hoo, there's something out there that needs your attention. That's why it feels bad. So you don't want to totally get rid of fear. You want to be able to control fear and use fear. Right? Actually, fear to some people is that adrenaline high that you get. God knows, in my opinion, why anybody would want to get on a roller coaster. Scares the hell out of me. Doesn't feel good. That adrenaline rush does not feel good to me. It does to some people, but not me. Fear in our relationships brings up thoughts of loss. You know, when we're afraid, we think we can lose something, and we feel like we're being attacked, which then brings up, you know, we have to defend ourselves, and if we have to defend ourselves, we have to control ourselves. And when, you know, we have control issues, well, you know, the relationship is really going to have problems then, as we sit there and fight with each other. When we have fear, it is often based on a conflict between the past, something that happened to us in the past. We weren't born with fear. Well, like I said, self-protection, but fears are learned. There's only a few basic fears: height, being dropped, that kind of stuff. But for adults, it's a conflict between some action, thoughts, or whatever in our past that we're projecting onto the future. Fear is actually in the now. Anxiety is in the future. It tells you what time it is. So we have this role of fear that is often in our relationships. And to get rid of fear, we have to let go. We have to accept it and feel it and let go. And nothing, by the way, that I talk about is easy. And if anybody is going to tell you that this stuff is easy, you can make it faster. You can do it easier. But if you're doing your work and you're raising your level of consciousness, you're going to be aware of it. You are. Because if, and I'm in, do hypnosis, and NLP and all that good stuff too. But if you don't get to the root of the problem, if you don't get to where that abscess is inside of you, I hypnotize you and tell you you can do something else, and okay, you can do that. But it's still not, unless we change the problem, the reason for the problem, the reason for the fear, it's just going to come up some other place. There's that old joke about, no, I won't tell you, that's too SK to put on YouTube. Okay, but we have to find out the basis of the fear and work with it, because it really screws things up. Then another problem that we have in relationships that cause a lot of problems is beliefs. These are victim roles. Did I say that? These are victim roles. These are the different victim type roles that we bring in, and most of us do not. We just don't even see that we're doing this. We don't. If we did, we probably would change it, but we don't. So beliefs are fixed thoughts that we have that we base things on. Okay, and they're static. And it's how the filters that we see things through. Okay, and often we get negative beliefs. Most of the time, well, if you're talking about they should probably have more negative than positive beliefs. But the negative beliefs we often get from childhood. Okay, these are the little traumas, big traumas. But if we felt rejected or abandoned by our parents, our caretakers. When I say parents, I'm talking about caretakers. It doesn't necessarily have to be your parent, your grandmother, or somebody else. I was raised by my grandmother. But basically, it's your caretaker. And we very much need our caretakers, because human children cannot survive until they're several years old. Other animals get born in a week or days. They have a chance of survival. Human children don't. We desperately, we literally will die without our caretakers until we're up in years. So it's very important what they think and believe about us, or give us the impression they believe, because without their approval, they won't take care of us, and then we'll starve and whatever. Yes, the stage manager's here. This is Charlie. So it's important to us, what their beliefs are and our beliefs. But if we come up with the belief that we are not good enough, that we've been rejected, and if we've been rejected, it's obviously has to be because we're not good enough. Then we filter that in our behavior with everybody else. And when you don't have these positive feelings, when you feel that you've been rejected or abandoned or betrayed, then you're going to try and do something about it, even if it's in the past. We spend a lot of time trying to change the past. God knows I have. But our behavior, this is going to come through as overcompensation. And nobody likes to, we try too hard. We all know somebody who's tried too hard. God knows we've all tried too hard ourselves on different occasions, depending on the value of what's going on. If you really want, desire, need, lust for something, you're going to work hard to get it. Assuming that you're not healthy, certainly you may just give up, but that's another problem. But when we try too hard, that's not attractive to the other people in the relationships. It makes them feel boxed in. They don't want to be responsible for us. They got problems of their own. They don't want to be responsible for our happiness. And I think that's a big issue that many of us have. And I've done it myself, and I still do it sometimes to try to catch myself doing it. That we want other people to make us happy. And then we push this on to other people, and they're saying, "Oh, I don't want to be responsible for your pain. I don't want to be responsible for this." And so they say that, and they reject us even more. We feel, "Oh, here I am getting rejected again," and so we need to try even harder. Some people may take the other way of doing it is being too cool. They distance themselves. They separate themselves. They're not going to get involved. I'm really smooth. It's off-putting. Whatever you think or say or do doesn't matter to me. And again, we've all done this. Somebody hurts your feelings. They reject you, and you say, "Oh, I don't care what they feel. No, I don't need this. I'm above this." Well, sometimes you don't, but it depends on why you're saying this. Are you saying this because you're coming out of fear, or have you finally got your act together and then you have good self-esteem? If you have good self-esteem, then saying, I don't care if you reject me, well, you may care. Just the degree, I take that back. It's the degree of rejection, how you're feeling it. But if you've got good self-esteem, you can afford to be rejected. It's, minimally painful. If you do not have good self-esteem and you have a history or a belief that you're constantly rejected, that's going to hurt like hell. Okay, it does. It just does. And so you just try to get yourself above it. And then sometimes this might make a person even try harder to succeed. But also it takes other people, they just say flat out, "I'm not even going to try because I don't want to get hurt. I'm just not going to try at all." And they give up. And so the belief just makes them give up. and which just reinforces them feeling like they're rejectable. Even if you didn't try, you certainly can't fail. And others who have been rejected, it's, you know, the flame in their ass that'll push them because they're going to show that they're good enough. But that doesn't always work either. It may make you a very successful business person or at the top of your creative field, but you're doing it out of fear. And if you're doing something out of fear, you're never going to be happy with the end results. You're not. And that's what all of this series and things I'm talking about is teaching us to learn to do things from power and not force. Power is out of love. Charlie wants to help too. Another victim role that we play is revenge. And that's a bad one. And some people don't really even understand that that's what they're doing. And I don't, some people know that they want vengeance. That's some Scorpios, they're really good at that. They want their pound of flesh when they've been rejected or hurt. I'm sorry, there are some highly developed Scorpios, so don't attack me. Okay, that would be revenge. But the revenge that I'm talking about is the kind when, as a victim, not as a perpetrator, as a victim, where we are subconsciously attacking others through self-victimization. This is a subconscious thing that goes on, and it often doesn't even come up anywhere near to this level. But this is the person that's going to say, I'm willing to hurt myself, to feel pain, to take on disease, in order so I can hurt you. It's your fault that I'm this way. And being a victim often is a form of revenge. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. This is your fault that I'm miserably unhappy. This is your fault that you didn't take care of me, didn't teach me how to take care of myself, even though I'm 50 years old and I had plenty of opportunity to learn. But it's your fault, Mom, Dad. And so I'm going to be sick and I'm going to be a victim, and I'm because I didn't take care of myself. I'm not talking about diseases, car accidents, things like that. But I didn't take care of myself, which comes through as having bad habits, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, not watching your diet, not exercising, things that I've always, except for the drugs, I'm guilty of in my life. So I understand that. But that's not taking care of yourself. And in a way, it's getting back at those that let us down. Few people understand that they're really doing that revenge. Another victim role is the hidden self. And my clients, when I do this with them, some of them pick it up pretty fast. The other ones think I'm crazy. I may be a little crazy, that's true, but I am functional. That's my litmus test. It's my litmus test. I think everybody's crazy. But, are you functional or not? Can you function in this world? The world's crazy, for God's sakes. Why wouldn't we be? But all of us have different personalities inside of ourselves, and we're different people in different situations. You go to work and your coworkers, they see one side of you, maybe too. Your children see one side of you. They see different personalities. You become you're the parent, you're this, you're that. Your lovers, your parents. All of these different personalities are within inside of us. And some of them don't even come up. We don't even understand that personality. I have a friend who doesn't understand their Archie Bunker, but that comes across. It does. They don't see it. No, they just, think they're conservative. So we have these different personalities inside of ourselves, and we're not aware of them, and they get in conflict with each other, and they have different goals, and because they have different goals and these conflicts, we can't get very far with anything. Okay, these are our parts therapy to get all them back together again. But they can cause us to be victims. We don't even realize that we're doing this. Guilt, of course, is one of the big victim roles. So it's right down there. It's the first one. Guilt and fear. Those are the biggest probably ones that we deal with, and all the other ones have some aspect of guilt and fear in them. But when we have guilt, we have self-attack. Guilt is based on the belief that we've done something to break a rule. And when we break a rule, shame is when somebody else is aware that we broke the rule. But when we have these rules that are in our heads, which can sometimes be based on beliefs, then we think we need to be punished. Guilt in our society, you're guilty of something, you got to be punished. And one of the interesting things about guilt and punishment, and you'll hear me say this many times, that when we're children, when we're young children, think of this concept. Think of it. It really may affect what you do. When we're small children and we need our caretakers for survival. Okay, so we need to keep them happy. Right? And when we're small children, we don't have any context. We have no. When you're 2 or 3 years old, that's it. 4 years old, you're going to go play out the cul-de-sac. And mom says, do not go out in the street. Stay up on the sidewalk, stay in the front yard, because the trucks come through. You don't have any concept of what a Mack truck can do to you. So mom is going to punish you if you go out into the street because you want to take care of it. But you don't get that. Okay, so you do something, you break a rule, and you get punished. So because you understand the consequences, if mom is mad at me, I ain't gonna get no dinner, or I'm in trouble. My survival is threatened. You don't understand what the truck does, okay? So it doesn't mean do anything for you. Never got that concept yet. So you get punished, and after you've done your punishment, what happens? Think about it. Everything goes back to normal. It's okay again, and we can start up. That's that little belief in your head. It's worked out many times. It's going to change after you get the punishment. So when we guilt ourselves, we're usually going to try and find some punishment for it. That's for sure. And we withdraw. When we feel guilty, certainly we're living in the past because guilt is always about something that we've already done. Few of the times you feel guilty I guess you can't. No, I still feel guilty. If you're doing something guilty, you're doing right at the moment. You might be married and sleeping with somebody else, and while you're doing it, you're feeling guilty, but it certainly doesn't stop you. But when we feel guilty, we're all the time, we're afraid of moving on. Okay, guilt is often self-exaggeration. It's often not anywhere near as big a deal as we think it is. The rule that we broke, and of course, everything I say, you got this extreme and this extreme, but most of the stuff that we do, we feel guilty over. It's triggered by something that we did in the past, and it's a way of controlling. Now, when we put guilt on something, try and put guilt on somebody else, but actually it's shame is what we're putting on. But when we try to guilt somebody else with their behavior by reminding them of something, that becomes a control issue. We often have that with our loved ones, our parents, and things like that. They make us feel guilty by pointing out some part of our behavior. Guilt is only good for a few seconds, because the punishment, it's like saying the Hail Marys. You say the mafia, and then you just go back and do the behavior again. So guilt, only little tiny bits of it is helpful. It's helpful if it causes you to change your behavior. The punishment, only short periods of time is punishment. Actually does a lot of good. It's surprising how much punishment we can take, believe me. Especially the physical body. It marvels me. Like I said before, I've worked in the intensive care units and the ER for 30 years. Amazing how much punishment the human body can take. And we go out and we do the same damn thing over again, get on our motorcycles or drive our cars too fast or drink and drive, and then we go out and do the same thing again. So much for what guilt did for that. It doesn't always work. Another form of victimization is depression and wanting to be dead. It's that, not necessarily to physically dead, which sometimes it can go to that extreme, but it's that weariness that people carry, and I think this comes across as depression. We see this as depression in other people, or and we're just burned out, just totally burned out. We've given, we haven't got anything back in return, and then we got a lot of pain, and then we say to ourselves, why go on? Because we can't see the end of the tunnel. It's conflict. The weariness comes from a conflict between ourselves as wanting something, a desire, and there's another part of us that wants something else. And this constant battle between the two, because we're not willing to let go and see some other way. The opposite of death is actually its birth. So when we have these tremendous weariness in us, we don't want to go on anymore. What it's actually asking us to do, if we look deeper, is an opportunity to make the choice to do things differently. And I know that's really hard to do, but suicide is a victim role. It's a victim role. And I am not judging, as I'll say over and over again, I'm not in a position to judge anybody, but I do evaluate the outcomes that you get. And certainly if you have metastasized cancer, bone cancer, something, God, the pain is, if you choose not to go on, that's totally reasonable, why put yourself through that? And certainly modern medicine, we can prolong your suffering. We're very good at that. If it was a natural state in the animal world, when the predators go out, what happens? What do they go after? They go after the very young, and they go after the old, the weak, and the ones that call them out. And so they don't suffer that long. They don't, because the predators go after them and recycle. Basically, recycling. I know that sounds a little cold, but it really is the way it is. So if you're using suicide is a way to get past your emotional pain, it's unfortunate, not only because it hurts everybody else who's around you, who cares about you, although you may feel there is nobody that cares about you, and that's why you want to do it. But life has lessons. We're here to learn things. And if you don't learn in this lifetime, you're going to have to come back and do it again. And once I got that in my head and I realized that concept, you push your way forward through that. There's been times, that I certainly in my life thought I couldn't go on. There were times, but that was one of the things that helped me a lot. And I know many of my clients, when they get to understand that and accept reincarnation and souls and this concept, that do it now or do it later. That's a choice. We can forgive ourselves. We can forgive others. Because often, I say often, sometimes, I try to be a little bit more careful with my words. Suicide attempts, and I've seen this so frequently in the hospital, is a way to get back. It's a revenge. Sometimes it's a revenge to get back at somebody else, and it's not something you really want to do. No, it hurts a lot of people. You set up a lot of bad karma. A lot of bad karma. Judgment, big issue. Big issue. We all have judgment. But judgment is a victim's role too. And we don't think about it that way, but it is. Judgment is projecting blame and hiding our own sense of guilt and denial. Judgment separates us from other people, from other situations. Walls. Humans are really good at building walls, man. Everybody. But it keeps us separate from other people, because when we judge somebody else, we're saying, I'm better than you are. I'm special. I'm going to elevate myself above you. And when I elevate myself and I separate myself from you, it helps keep me safe. When you judge somebody, we're pushing ourselves away. And it hides our sense of guilt. Lots of us are really good at pushing other people away and staying safe. We spend so much of our time, of our lives, trying to protect ourselves from pain. Wow. And we don't even realize that we're doing it. And you can't avoid pain. You can't. It's going to be there. Pain is our emotions, our body say, hey, Soni, there's a problem here. You need to do something with it. So we need to recognize and then feel our pain, because our pain is telling us something. Doesn't mean we have to suffer. There's a difference between pain and suffering. Suffering is something that we do have some control over. Pain is a messenger system. And yeah, it can hurt like hell. Really, really, really bad. I know that. But suffering comes from not accepting what is, that you can't change some things. Well, I can't change the seasons. I can't change the things in the natural world. There are some things that just we're not going to be able to change. And sometimes they're cultural issues. And it may take 100 years. And I may fight it. Certainly I can fight things from a cultural standpoint, but some things you can't. I am never going to be more than 5'2". Well, I used to be 5'2 3/4", and I've shrunk over the years. But that was, I'm never going to be more than 5'2" now. So I have to live with that, deal with it. Those are the things you can't change. And if you keep bugging yourself about it, then you're going to be in pain, suffering pain, not just pain. Another victim role that we play is expectation. And expectations keep us from unconditional love. And these roles are hard to deal with, because sometimes we need to have expectations. But it's this side, this negative side, and unrealistic expectations, and being rigid in our expectations. Expectations in this sense, in the victim's role, is we're demanding that life should fit our needs, our unfulfilled needs. It's perfectionism, not being good enough, not excellent. I changed my personality, my perfectionist, I gave him a new role when I figured out that I was doing that, and I made him, gave him the title of excellence, because you can reach excellence. That's a realistic expectation that you can meet. Perfectionism is not a realistic expectation. Nobody's perfect. God said it. Well, God may be, but you have to look at the elephant. One knows. Some of the things that they are. So it's the unrealistic expectations that we have. And they come across as fantasies often. The perfectionism. The chances of me at 5'2" and looking like a fire plug, of being a sprinter and winning the Olympics is not real good. My legs are short. Okay, power lifter, could maybe handle that. Gymnast, like good muscles, short muscles. If you want to be a runner and you do that, you need to have the long, thin muscles. So you got to know what's realistic in your expectations. But when we have a lot of expectations, we get unrealistic expectations. Then we start to feel inadequate when we can't meet them. It's this thinking of how things should be. And when you get that word in there, should, as soon as you hear should, something's wrong. That's an expectation. That's somebody else's belief. Somebody else told you should be this. It's not what you are, it's what you should be. Oh God, how many times did I hear that as a child? And the shoulds are going to set you up for disappointment. Unrealistic expectations will set you up for disappointment. Even realistic ones will set you up for disappointment. But we can live with disappointment. We can do that. Hurts, but if we're not going to get disappointed as much if we have realistic expectations. When we play the victim role, we have unrealistic expectations. It'll never be satisfied. It can't. They're not going to get satisfied. But if you have a realistic expectation, you don't quite meet it. You don't quite, and you got a healthy background. Then you're just going to set a new goal, something more that you can, achieve. So, unrealistic expectations is something that we do a lot of. So we want to go and look at ourselves and ask ourselves these questions. Are we doing any of this? Well, if you're not getting what you want out of life, and you're feeling bad, and you don't feel like you're enough, and you don't have self-esteem, it's probably because you're playing some of these victim roles. And you're not going to get self-esteem by blaming your parents for not giving it to you. Yeah, they could have been real shits. There's no question about it. And they didn't support you. True. Mine didn't. Mine certainly didn't. But that was a long time ago. And I can't do anything about that. Well, definitely since they're both dead now. So the only person that can give you self-esteem and make you feel good about yourself in the long run is you. And confidence. Confidence is something that we learn from practice. I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. When you were, a little kid and you learned to walk, you fell down and you picked yourself back up again. And that's how you built your confidence. Stage managers on it. That's how you build up your self-confidence. Mom saying to you, good job, every time you pass gas is not going to build your self-confidence. What it's going to do, it's going to give you an inflated ego, and you're going to get disappointed a lot when the rest of the world does not want to keep doing that to you. Okay? I guess she said that's time to stop because I've talked too much. Yeah, I told you she's a stage manager. I have a tendency to talk too much. We'll get another one. All right? Okay. Let's see. Where's the off button? I keep finding that. Where's that off button?